This was the last Prime Minister's question time before Mr. Brown heads off to China. Talks between the two leaders during the three-day visit starting on Friday will almost certainly include the situation in the Darfur region of Sudan.
Mr. Speaker, we continue to monitor the humanitarian situation in Darfur. 4 million people are dependent on food aid. 2 million people have been displaced. 280,000 people have had to leave the country. We continue to work with the United Nations and the African Union to bring peace to this troubled region.
Posing a further question on Darfur, a backbench MP pointed out that the conflict in Sudan had now gone on for 6 years and that actions by China in the United Nations Security Council seem to be blocking efforts to deploy a joint UN-African Union peacekeeping force in the region.
As I said a minute ago, these problems are appalling and run to hundreds of thousands of people who've been displaced or are now on aid. He mentions China. I actually talked to the Premier of China this morning about this very issue, because I believe that China and the United Kingdom can work with other countries to make sure that the government of Sudan ensures that a ceasefire is properly administered, to bring in the African Union peacekeeping force, which is supported by the United Nations, 20,000 more peacekeepers, and to move to political talks that can bring a political settlement where all parties, including those parties that didn't attend the previous talks, are brought to the table. So I intend on my visit to China to continue these talks with Premier Wen so that all of us, including the Chinese government, add to the pressure for a peaceful settlement in Darfur.
An opposition question about the mission objectives of British forces in southern Iraq brought a sharp response.
Mr. Speaker, can I say that violence in Basra has gone down 90% over the last few months? That our troops in Basra are doing a great job because they are training the security forces of the Iraqi army and training the Iraqi police. And I think it is wrong for him to diminish the effect of building economic prosperity in the Basra area. And as for the invasion of Iraq in the first place, Saddam Hussein had offended United Nations resolutions and the international community for more than a decade.
Mr. Brown's three-day trip to China will include a tour of the venues for this summer's Beijing Olympics and talks on trade and education links. A Chinese government spokesman said it was hoped the visit would bring a new vitality to the development of China-British relations.